Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And I was going to do another video kind of talking about the Oscar ceremony that happened this last Sunday. I did one video covering the Will Smith, Chris Rock fiasco, I guess you call it. It's on kind of the major headlines every day, seems like, in the news. And I talked about that for over 30 minutes, so I won't talk about that anymore. I already kind of covered my thoughts on the whole incident, what's going on there. But talk about the ceremony itself. As I said before, the Oscars is both a show to give rewards out, but I mean, you could have an Oscars where all they do is just say, all right, here's the nominees, here's the winner, here's the nominees. You can just pass out awards like that and it'd be a faster show. But the show is supposed to be a entertainment show. It's supposed to be a show that, talks about all the movies of the year. It's supposed to be a time to celebrate the year in movies, because it's supposed to be like, it happens in March. It's about the year 2021, for instance, and covering what happened in 2021 and celebrating the movies that came out, and even celebrating movies that might have anniversaries also, but and celebrate movies in general. And they always sometimes have themes and all this. So that's what the Oscars is about. It's about enjoying movies. If you like movies, it's supposed to be a time to sit back and reminisce about the greatness of movies and all this. That's the point of the Oscars, the show itself. And so you want to. That's why you have celebrities, of course, presenting the awards, and celebrities usually do the presenters usually do some banter back and forth, to make it lively. You have music numbers in there usually, and you have a host there who's supposed to kind of give a monologue that's supposed to be funny, and then maybe do a bit in the middle of the show, do another kind of funny bit, something like that. It makes an Oscar a great show to watch, and why I've always enjoyed the Oscars since I was a kid. So saying that, so let's go to what I think about the host itself. I think really one of the most important parts of the Oscar show is a good host. A good host, or a host, can make the show good or bad, I think, in my opinion. If you have a bad host that's not funny, I usually think back on Oscars and go, oh, that was a bad Oscars because they had a bad host. And I think of the ones that had a really good host and did something funny. I always think of, that was a good Oscar show, It's that plus the movies that you like. You always like watching the Oscars when your favorite movie is nominated for Oscars, and you want to see them win, and you want to root for them to win. That's the enjoyment of watching the Oscars. This year's hosts was Amy Schumer, Wanda Sykes, and Regina Hall. First time we had 3 women hosting. It's the first time we've had a host in 3 years, I believe. We kind of did away with hosts, and I hated that we did away with hosts, because, like I said, I think that's a very vital part of the show itself is the host. You really need a good host to start the show and come in and provide some comedy in between. It's not a show just about handing out awards. It's about the comedy and the music also. Makes it a memorable event. Anyway, so I was happy that they had hosts. I think that actually made the show better. Even if they weren't maybe the best hosts, in this case, it was still better than no host, in my opinion. So I do like the fact that they went with hosts. This time, it was a weird combination. Of course, they went with 3 women. 2 of them were black. So they definitely were trying to fit that quota of giving other people besides white males probably the job. And who knows, maybe they gave the job to other people and everybody turned it down, and this might have been towards the bottom of the barrel and they finally found somebody that would host it. I hope not. I hope they can get better hosts in the future. But out of the 3, I thought Amy Schumer was the funniest of them, and thought she was most tailor-made to be a host and made the most sense. She seems maybe the most relevant. Wanda Sykes is a stand-up comedian's been around for a while. She was bigger maybe 20 years ago. She was more of a bigger stand-up comedian and well-known, and she's been in a lot of movies and small parts and stuff like that, and she's done fine as a supporting role in a movie. But she's not that relevant today. I don't think she's somebody people are really, really wanting to see. And then Regina Hall, I don't know a lot about her. She's an actress. I'm sure I've seen some of her movies. I can't think of what her movies are on top of my mind. I say that she's not a big actress, or she's not really that well known, I don't think. And so she's not going to be someone that's really going to make people want to watch the show and provides much extra to the show. in my opinion. Instead of having three hosts, to me, just have Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer could do everything they all three did and do it funnier and probably easier and probably takes less time to have one host. Sometimes they've done two hosts. Mostly it's just one host. And one of the times they did two hosts, it was a disaster with James Franco and Anne Hathaway. They did Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin one time with two hosts, and I thought that worked out actually pretty well. But most part, you just have one. And so I would have just done Amy Schumer. It was weird because all three of them came out. DJ Khaled came out and to introduce them after they were already introduced. So it was very weird having DJ Khaled come out there, who we all know is like talentless and this talentless millionaire who just hypes people up. Then the three of them kind of gave a monologue, which was nice to see a monologue, but I don't know if we need all three. So all three of them went out and did kind of a three-person banter monologue. And I love the monologue because you get to point people out in the audience, you get to talk about movies and make fun of the people in the audience. That's the best part about the hosting is I love seeing the celebrities get made fun of because, you know, they are these millionaires that have everything, fame, fortune. So it's nice to see them get their own, you know, at these award shows. And it's nice when they make fun of them and then you see them and they laugh at it. And then you go, oh, wow, they're laughing at themselves. That makes me like them more. Anyway, so that's enjoyment of watching the Oscars and the monologue and the host kind of roast. It's one of those things. It's fun to see celebrities get roasted. That's why they have roast shows. Anyways, so three come out and they do their bits. Of course, for me, they're all going to be, of course, very liberal, and their jokes are going to skew towards the liberal sensibilities. So I wish they wouldn't put politics in any of it. They should, if they want to get the most people to watch the show, they should kind of stay away from politics. So anytime you take a stance on politics, you're going to drive people away. So I wish they wouldn't do that. They did make some liberal jokes that I didn't like and was like, these girls are a bunch of idiots, you know. And it makes me not want to watch the show, but I'm one of the few that still watch it. It doesn't get hardly any viewers anymore like it used to when I was younger. And, you know, you had the three women, so it was all, for me, it's all, you know, oh, white men are evil, you know, and I'm a white man, so I'm like, nah, that's not funny. Like, I don't find that kind of jokes funny. And Republicans are evil, and I'm like, I'm a Republican, so I don't like that either. A lot of that, so the jokes don't land, all the jokes don't land with me. They had some jokes that are still funny, so I still enjoyed some of it. Then after they did it, then Amy Schumer came out by herself and did another monologue. I was like, why didn't she just come out and do the monologue? You know, like I said, and her monologue was actually pretty funny, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. I love her joke about Leonardo DiCaprio and the Don't Look Up movie, and that Leonardo's, you know, very environmentalist. He's making sure to leave the world a cleaner and better place for his girlfriends because Leonardo is known for dating younger women. So that was a great joke, making fun of Leo. He wasn't there, though. It would have been funny if he was there. But anyways, that was a good joke. And she said about don't look up, just don't look up the reviews. That was a pretty good one. I enjoy those kind of stuff. And Adam Kay was there laughing it up. He enjoyed that. And then talking about the Being the Ricardos, and Aaron Sorkin wrote it and said Aaron Sorkin is such a great writer. He was able to write a movie about a comedy legend and not have any laughs in the movie. You know, kind of make fun of the fact that Being the Ricardos was more of a drama, not much comedy. It's about Lucille Ball, who's this great comedic legend, female comedy, and so that was kind of a fun thing. And Nicole Kidman was laughing at it, and Harvey Bardem was. So I think they took it in pretty nicely. But that was fun. Anyway, so I liked all her stuff. Pretty much was pretty good there. Regina Hall then did a bit where she said there's some people that they need to retest for COVID, and she names them, and it's all these guys that are like good looking, I guess. And so the whole bit is that she's just wanted good looking guys to come up so she could take them back and who knows what with them. Anyways, and so I thought that was a funny bit, you know. I'd go for that. Amy Schumer could have done it, but, you know, that wasn't too bad. Later on, Wanda Sykes did a bit where she went to the Academy Awards, like, museum or whatever. I think it's a new museum, maybe there in California. And she does a bit where she walks through and says some funny things about certain things, you know. And I didn't think it was that funny. I don't know, Wanda Sykes to me didn't really come off that funny and did a particularly good job. Like I said, didn't make sense to have her there, I don't think. And Amy Schumer could have done that anyways, like I said, and probably been funnier. So that bit didn't really work that well. Uh, the two worst bits they did kind of towards the end that really didn't work was they came out as characters of movies, and Wanda Sykes came out as King Richard with the short white shorts that he wears throughout the whole movie, which is kind of ridiculous. Uh, I think Regina Hall was Tammy Faye, and Amy Schumer came down as Spider-Man, and it was not a funny bit. Did not work really at all. And I don't care for those kind of bits, dressing up and trying to do that. Anyway, so that didn't work. And then they did another bit with Regina Hall and Wanda Sykes where they went to the crowd and they talked to different, and they were trying to give them gifts, and it didn't really work. I don't think that did. Then later on, Amy Schumer had the funniest joke of the whole night that killed me, made me die laughing. Is that the whole Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, and then we went through, I don't know, the documentary and the in memoriam, went through all this stuff, and then at some point Amy Schumer came back. I don't know if Will Smith won the Oscar yet, but Amy Schumer was, like I said, Regina Hall and Wanda Sykes did a bit, and so we hadn't seen Amy Schumer for a while, and then Amy Schumer came back, like she's been backstage all this time, and she came back and said, oh, I was busy getting out of my Spider-Man costume, and is there anything I missed? And oh my gosh, I died laughing, of course, and that was an ad lib, of course, because obviously she wasn't planning on Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. And so the fact that she was able to capitalize that, and that's what a good host does. When something crazy happens, they're good at ad-libbing something funny. And that's why I said Amy Schumer did a pretty good job, because she had the funniest line of the whole night is to come out and say, I said, did I miss anything? Because obviously all we're thinking is what happened with Will Smith and Chris Rock. And then she says, I don't know, there's a weird vibe going on or something like that. The vibe's changed in here. Like, acting dumb like she didn't know what happened. And I don't know, that was pretty funny. Anyway, so I would say the host, not the greatest host, but still still was an improvement. Thinking back about hosts, like I said, the last three, it's been a while since we've had a good host, really, and had a good Oscars, to be honest. Last three I thought last year was the worst, absolute worst. I hated last year. It couldn't get any worse, I think, than last year. No host, and I forget who, the person that introduced everything. It wasn't interesting. In fact, the whole beginning was just this one actress just walking from one place to another. It was really boring and not interesting, and didn't really get you to watch the Oscars. And then she said something really stupid. Anyways, last 3 years it was, I think, not as fun without the host. And then the 2 years before that, Jimmy Kimmel hosted, and I think he was one of the worst hosts we've ever had. It's totally not funny. I don't think he's ever been funny, Jimmy Kimmel. And he did it twice, and we had the whole Moonlight La La Land fiasco, where Moonlight won, but they thought La La Land won at first, and so there was that craziness that happened. And Jimmy Kimmel I thought he was terrible. And then the year before that, in 2016, Chris Rock hosted, and I'm not a fan of Chris Rock personally. Like, so he can do some comedy that's funny if if he does PG-13 comedy, it's funny. When he gets real dirty, it's not that funny to me. In 2016 was terrible because that was the Oscar So White year, and everything was about too many white people getting nominated, and that just kind of ruined the whole ceremony because all they want to talk about was race. Like I said, anytime you talk about race and politics, it just turns people off, turns me off. So that was a terrible Oscar ceremony, maybe the second worst. And then the year before that, in 2015, I think was Neil Patrick Harris. That was decent, if I remember right. Like I didn't mind that. And then the year before that was Ellen DeGeneres, did a pretty good job. The year before that, Seth MacFarlane, I really liked. A lot of people didn't like, but he was one of my favorites, Seth MacFarlane. Anyway, so that's kind of been the little history of the Oscar hosts. It's been a while since we've had a real good one, in my opinion. And so I think they really need to work on that. I think it's an important part of the Oscars overall. I saw that these Oscars had 15 million viewers, which is 50% up increase. Still pretty bad. It's the second worst viewership, whatever, in history or recent history of Oscars since it's been televised, I guess. Last year was 10 million. That was the absolute worst Oscars. Nobody watched it. Nobody wanted to watch it. This year, just a little bit better. Compare that to the best year was 2003. That was the best Oscars I think ever. It was my favorite. I still remember that one, and it had 43 million. So compare the 43 million viewers in 2003 to the 10, 15 million that we're getting today. I mean, so that's almost 20-year span. It's just getting so bad, and nobody wants to watch it because of what they've done. And I'll talk about that a little bit here, what they need to do to improve the Oscars. But and the thing that made the 2003 so good was that one, Lord of the Rings: Return of the King was the big winner, won 11 Oscars. It was a huge movie. People loved that movie. So they watch the Oscars because they want to watch their favorite movie win. And most time, your favorite movie never gets nominated. And the movies that do get nominated are movies that nobody watches. So who cares about watching them win when nobody cares about the movies? That's a big problem. Also, Billy Crystal was a host. Billy Crystal, great host, did a great job hosting that Oscars. Had a really funny bits being in the movies and doing his little song dance number. Anyways, he's one of the all-time greatest, Billy Crystal. So that's why that show was so good. Talk a little bit about the music. It started with Beyonce singing "Alive," I think it's called, by the movie King Richard. You know, it was an interesting way to start. Usually start with a monologue, but lately they've been starting it with different things. Like they've done music last couple of years. I think they've been starting with the music. Maybe that's the way they want to go. But it's like pre-recorded. I like it live better than pre-recorded, but they did like a pre-recorded thing out in Compton, and you know, I didn't think the performance was really that good, and songs like okay. Beyonce has a great voice and all that, but I didn't think Beyonce sang really that great on that. And they all wore this. I like the outfits. I love that green costuming. It was kind of not a bad idea. Kind of matches tennis, I guess. You know, so I don't know. It wasn't greatest opening, but I think about like maybe the best opening would have been like start with "We Don't Talk About Bruno" from Encanto, because that's obviously like the most popular song coming out this last year in movies. It didn't get nominated for an Oscar, but they eventually did do a version of that song during ceremonies, which I was kind of like pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh wow, they're doing my favorite song from Encanto. A lot of people we don't talk about Bruno. The performance wasn't great, like it is in the movie. They had some girl, I didn't know who she was. I guess her name is Megan Thee Stallion. And she went in, she rapped, and of course there's no rap in the original song, so they added this real rap part to it that I didn't care about, and it just didn't come off as good as I would like it to be, but it's still nice that they did the song. It was really, music-wise, it was pretty bad. I didn't like the music, really, for the most part. Either it was forgetful or just I don't care for that kind of music. The Encanto song, Dos Igua, whatever, it's a Spanish word. It's probably the most uninteresting song in the movie, and the one that anytime I say, "Oh, Dos whatever" got nominated, they'd be like, "What song is that? I don't remember that song." And I go, "Yeah, you won't, because it's not one it's memorable." So they did that one. It's kind of a boring song. Reba McEntire sang a song from a movie no one's ever heard of. I don't even remember what movie it was, and it was okay. I mean, Reba is a good singer, and I don't know, it wasn't the worst performance, so it still wasn't like memorable. Van Morrison had a song, "Down the Joy" from Belfast, but I didn't see him sing it, so I don't. As one song nominated, I don't think they did was the Van Morrison song. Usually, if the singer can't be there, usually they get somebody else to sing the song, but I'm pretty sure that song was never sang, so I don't know if that song's. I never really even heard that song, so I don't know if it's any good. But Van Morrison, you know, it could be good. Then you have the last song was "No Time to Die," which by Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas. Of course, that won the Oscar, and everybody knew it was going to win the Oscar, and it was kind of the heavy favorite. So that's why they probably did it towards the end of the Oscar ceremony. And Eilish had the kind of weird black outfit, and it's such a boring song. And I'm not a Billie Eilish fan. I find her boring, her music. So it was, to me, a bad performance just because I thought such a not. Out of all the Bond songs, it's probably the worst one, most boring. Bond songs are usually kind of fun, upbeat somehow, but this one was just kind of boring. Anyways, so music, not that great. And lastly, I talk about the length of the Oscars itself. It was still 3.5 hours long, I believe, or somewhere in that, so it's still way too long. You generally want to get within 3 hours, and 3 hours is even a pretty long ceremony. I think you could even get down, if you really want to, I feel like you can get down to 2 hours, and that'd be a good Oscar ceremony if you can get down to like 2 maybe. But But of course, it went up to 3.5. Like it usually goes up to 3.5 to 4 hours. It seems like it's just way too long of a ceremony. Uh, and unless it's really, really entertaining, which just was not necessarily, except for the Will Smith part, that was entertaining, kind of in a way. It made it a memorable Oscar. So um, I think the big problem as I was watching it, because they tried to make some of the categories fast by not even they pre-recorded I don't know 4 or 5 of them. They kind of pre-recorded the announcing the winner and have the some of the more smaller not forget what do you call it this some of the smaller Oscar categories. Yeah, they kind of just said, okay, here's the winner, and then the winner was there already. Like they edited it so that you didn't have to wait for the winner to walk down, which was, I guess, nice. It cut some time by cutting out them walking back and forth and spending too much time on the nominees, but you still had to hear the speech, and the speech is what makes the show so long. To me, I think that's the biggest problem is kind of the speeches, like where you can cut corners. You don't need too many bits. They probably had too many bits, funny bits, maybe 3. Like you really need a good monologue and then maybe a funny bit in the middle of the show. That's all you really need, and maybe just an ad lib here and there. But that's all you need really out of the host. So you don't really want to put too many bits in there. They did we don't talk about Bruno. They probably don't need that song. That was like an extra song that was nominated. So you really didn't probably need that song in there, even though I like the song. I still like the music performances being in the show. I enjoy seeing that. So I don't want them to take that away, even though that would probably shorten the ceremony itself. And probably a lot of people would be okay with that. The biggest problem is the speeches, and there's too many categories. I should say that there's like 24 categories maybe, or somewhere around there. And I think you only need maybe 10 categories to be honest. And most Oscar people are like, no, you got to have all the categories, and I want to see all the speeches. And I'm like, most people don't though. I think the general audience doesn't care to hear somebody that won for film editing. Who cares about the film editor? We don't really need to see them speak, but it's like, oh. If we cut that out, then man, they won this Oscar, and we're gonna take that away from them. But it's a show about entertainment. If you want to entertain, this is what you got to do. Shorten the length of the show is what you got to do to make it a better show. And the big problem was the speeches. Obviously, Will Smith had like a 6-minute speech. The speeches are only supposed to be 45 seconds long. That's the average, I think, the speeches. Usually, Best Actor go longer and maybe Best Director and Best Picture, because those are the big ones. Those are very, very when you win those, that's like once in a lifetime. All of them are kind of once in a lifetime, but especially those are like higher up. So I understand you give a little more time to Best Actor, Best Actress, but Will Smith, of course, he went on, he babbled on, and he cried, and it was a terrible speech and very awkward, and made him look bad. And it was 6 minutes long. He even said at one point, "Oh, I should probably wrap this up." And it's like, yeah, like you should have wrapped it up like 5 minutes ago, or not even been up there at all. To be honest, he shouldn't have been up there at all. But that makes it long hearing Will Smith's 6-minute speech. But even like Troy Kotsur won Best Supporting Actor. I felt like his speech was pretty long. There was a girl who won Best Costume. She kept going on. The guy who won Best Foreign Film for Drive My Car, I feel like he went on a long time. I don't know. There's just several speeches where I'm like, oh man, this is just going on way too long. You just need to thank the people that made the movie, thank your family, and maybe say something inspirational, and then leave. That's what you need to do. You don't want to go on too long. Anyways, so I don't know how they can cut the speeches out though. That's you can't control what people are going to say, or they used to try to play them off, but no one really got played off this time. It seemed like. So I don't know how you can force someone to stop speaking. So have someone say, like, you got 5 seconds, and after 5 seconds, we're cutting the mic out. But people don't want to do that because that'd be disrespectful, I guess. But you got to do something to cut down these speeches. Or the thing I think you can do to cut down speeches is just have 10 categories. That's my suggestion. Instead of 24 and 14 of them no one cares about, I say just have Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Screenplay, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Animated Movie, and Best Song. Those are, I think, the 10 most interesting Oscar categories or most important ones, and the 10 that people are more interested in seeing. I'd say give all the other ones off camera maybe, but then the ones that are in the show, just if you just cut down those 10, you can cut down the show so much and be more interesting. The big thing is you need a good host, like I said before. Cut down the length of the show, less categories. Get a good host that isn't too political or will rub people the wrong way, which is really hard to get somebody in Hollywood that's not extremely liberal and very unlikable in that sense to conservative people. I always thought Kevin Hart had been great, but they canceled him, so he wasn't able to do it. I always thought Dwayne Johnson would be good. I think everybody likes Dwayne Johnson. I heard someone say Steve Martin and Martin Short have been a good choice, and I think that would have been an awesome choice. They have been great because they did a show together, and they do a lot of stuff together. But they're a little bit older, so maybe the young crowd wouldn't care about them. I'd say bring back anybody from Saturday Night Live, like Will Ferrell, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Kristen Rigg. Any of those would be great. Or just take somebody who's popular. I was thinking even Ryan Reynolds would make a good host. He seems pretty popular, makes a lot of movies. People might view in just to see him. I think it was last year or the year before, they were suggesting to put the cast of the Avengers as the host, which was an interesting idea. But it was just an idea that, like, people might tune in to see Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth, and Robert Downey Jr. and all that, You just need somebody that people are wanting to watch and would don't care about the movies, but will turn on the channel to watch somebody they like. Anyways, and might watch the Oscars. That's one thing. And of course, nominating better movies, which I don't know, they can't. For some reason, they will not nominate good movies for Best Picture like they used to. I mean, like I said, Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, great movie, big in the box office, won a bunch of Oscars. You think of Titanic, Braveheart, Forrest Gump. Those were all popular movies that won a bunch of Oscars. You need to get back to those kind of movies, I think. Even Gladiator, anything like that. It's hard you need a movie that's good and it makes money at the box office. It's hard to find those two together. Obviously, like Spider-Man: No Way Home is the big movie this last year, and people say, oh, you can't nominate a superhero movie for Best Picture, but it's like, well, Black Panther was nominated for Best Picture, so why not? Why not Spider-Man, I say. If it was the most popular movie and people generally think it's pretty good critically and all that, like, why not Spider-Man: No Way Home be Best Picture? That would make more sense than Coda, which nobody's seen. I haven't seen Coda, and I try to watch all of the movies, and so you get a very low-budget, independent film that's on a streaming channel nobody watches, wins Best Picture, and nobody cares to tune into the Oscars to see Coda win or Power of the Dog or whatever. So that's a big, huge issue, and I don't know how can you force them to pick good movies? I guess you can't, but if they want more viewers, that's what they need to do. Anyways, and I've said it before, but it seems important to reiterate. Anyway, so that's my views on their Oscar ceremony itself, what I thought about it. Anyway, so just feel free to comment if you watched it. You probably didn't, but if you did, feel free to comment on what you think about the ceremony itself. And just thank you for watching, liking the videos, and thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. And I appreciate all of you. Have a good day.